allegations that the judiciary is captured are very serious allegations. They should not be made lightly by anybody, because it is not in the interests of anybody who loves this country to portray our judiciary as captured. And if anybody has got evidence that any judge is captured or the judiciary is captured, they must come forward with evidence. Now, I want to refer in a very limited way to the commission. I know that we said we are not going to talk about the commission, but you will recall that in the past, allegations have been made, for example, that there were certain judges who received money in order to decide cases in a certain way. The former Chief Justice spoke publicly and said, please, anyone who has got evidence supporting those allegations must come forward. Up to now, I'm not aware of anybody who has come forward with evidence of that. It is wrong to make allegations that there are judges who have been paid money in order to decide cases in a certain way when there is no evidence. You are all aware of the Judicial Conduct Committee that we have in South Africa, which is the body to which anyone who has such evidence must go and present evidence to say this judge and that judge and that judge have been involved in corruption. And of course, a judge who is captured, that should really be reported. And you know that the Judicial Conduct Committee conducts inquiries in order to establish whether complaints against judges are well-founded or not. You are aware that in the past few years, you may or may not be aware, but in the past few years, since I became DCJ, because that was one of the responsibilities that the former Chief Justice gave me, members of the Judicial Conduct Committee have issued various recent judgments on complaints. The Judicial Conduct Committee is a committee of judges which looks at issues or complaints against judges without fear, favor, or prejudice. They can be harsh on their own cause. I think at the interviews in February, I made an example of a case where I sat with two colleagues on appeal, where somebody had appealed against a decision. I just can't remember whether it was the judge against whom there had been a complaint or it was the complainant against a certain judge president. And we came to the conclusion that the judge president concerned had not conducted himself in a proper manner. And we decided that he should be reprimanded. And we invited him to come to be reprimanded. He came, he subjected himself to the processes of the Judicial Conduct Committee, and I had to issue the reprimand, which he accepted. So you know about other judgments. So if anybody makes allegations that judges are captured or some judge is corrupt or whatever, there is a body which looks into complaints against judges, allegations, and issues its judgments without fear or favor. Why are people not taking their complaints to that body? So I would simply say one respects whatever views people have, but please, if you are going to make allegations of misconduct, of criminality against judges, do so if you have evidence and follow the processes which are there to deal with such matters. Now, I guess maybe that also answers your question about the Gauteng division. I just want to add this with regard to the Gauteng division. I know that for some time, certain people have been making allegations along those lines. But I'm yet to see any one of them who has taken the trouble to look at various judgments, analyze them, and show how it can be said that the decisions that have been arrived at in those judgments are decisions that cannot be supported by any evidence, but simply that they are a manifestation of a biased mind on the part of the judges concerned to find in favor of the president, even when there is no evidence supporting that, even when the law does not support that. I think it's important for me to make this point. Judges make decisions. They are required to make those decisions in accordance with their oath of office, without fear, without prejudice, without favor. That doesn't mean that they can't be wrong. Of course, they can be wrong, and we know that appeal courts reverse their decisions from time to time. But as long as those decisions are arrived at in good faith, we should accept that. So I would appeal to the public to learn, when they disagree with judgments of the courts, to learn to say, maybe that's how the judge sees the matter in good faith. I don't agree, but it doesn't mean that he or she is captured, and it doesn't necessarily mean that he or she didn't like the other party. It might just be a wrong decision that is arrived at in good faith, as could happen with anybody. We should be slow to impute all kinds of motives when judges perform their duties. So I would say that until somebody is able to demonstrate by analyzing judgments and be able to arrive at a conclusion justifiably, that if you analyze each one of the following judgments, the only conclusion that can be reached is that this judge was not acting in good faith in arriving at this decision. Until somebody can show that, I do not think that one should take these allegations seriously. But I have absolutely no doubt in my mind that now that the president has made the decision that he has made, all members of the JSC will work very well with me. I have no doubt in my mind that I will work very well with them. I had the opportunity in October last year, as you all know, to chair the Judicial Service Commission when it had that session of interviews. I can tell you that I found absolute cooperation and respect from all members of the JSC. You mentioned Mr. Malema. I want to say that during that session, Mr. Malema was very courteous, was very respectful, was very constructive in his input in deliberations, discussions. I am confident that we are going to work very well. I'm not concerned at all. After all, as you will be aware, they also issued a statement welcoming my appointment. So I think we are going to work quite well.